I'm gonna check Twitter. Um, I guess I did have a brief look. There was some cool stuff. How AI can help summarize things in a much easier way than in a more economic, efficient way, basically. Um, something about things about sexes and shit like that, but it almost feels as if people are just expecting more. It's really strange. And some sentiment elsewhere, things like again more and more expectations. Now, one thing I don't know if everyone's looking at this as well is if I think I don't know if I'm going insane here, but I'm looking at market cap of about 15 billion US for Pulsechain, and about according to CoinGecko, sorry, and about 6.8 billion. Now, when you go over to Coin Market Cap, for some reason they don't list a lot of it. I'm not sure why that is. If you have a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're very close in relation to their fully diluted market cap and what they call market cap. This particular website, Ethereum is actually one and the same, and I'm curious as to why Pulsechain is not listed the same. Now, most of crypto is aware, whether or not they like Hex or not, that it's sort of been locked, hard coded, if you will. I'm not sure if it's okay. No, not hard coded. It was always at 201. But okay, they'll let it run under 201, but it's sort of been like that's its ceiling. You can't penetrate through that ceiling, the glass ceiling of CoinMarketCap, I guess you could call it if you're familiar with that terminology. Now, again, that's not the point of my stream. The point of my stream is if you go by Pulsechain, as per CoinGecko, sorry, I'm getting like two words confused. Like I said, my stream's half the time I live in English. Sorry. Oh my god. Now, for instance, oh, hang on. I'll use social media. I'll tweet this one out. Maybe some people will catch this on live because I need to see if I'm going insane or not. Let's have a look. God, so many bots, man, on Twitter. I have no idea why. I'm like this tiny little account. I'm still getting like a mass spam campaign. Now, if anyone is looking at market cap, right, and then if you're looking at that, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. But again, if Pulsechain was listed arguably correctly, it would be sitting around the first page, roughly at about position 13. So whether or not you like that number, I don't know. Currently at today's prices. Now, a few weeks ago, a few days ago even, when it was double the price it is now, or close enough to, it would have been a lot higher in the rankings, because if it's currently what, 15 billion, sorry, yeah, 15 billion, then it would be higher. It would be around the, where is it? 30 billion. And you'd be looking at what current positions of everything else. Maybe it's position 8, which is funny enough, Dogecoin. Now, again, I'm looking at CoinMarketCap over here. But if you're looking at it's like chicken or egg. Which came first, chicken or egg? If price is a function of LP on decentralized exchanges, whether or not, like, so which came first, the price or the LP pools? Now, we know that if you guys remember, there was a trade that took place a while ago. Basically, it was there was about like $1 worth of LP in a pool. Someone traded that, and it was a large amount. I can't remember if it was $1 million or 100,000. They got absolutely wrecked through slippage. I'm not sure if they were able to turn $1 million into like $1 through that particular trade. For whatever reason, someone would click that button. Now, so that begs the question, which came first, the price or the LP? Because without the LP, does the price really exist at that depth? Because if you had $1 million in LP and then you try to trade $1 million out, then it should theoretically be possible. If you can imagine, I guess, a circle, and the center of the circle being 0, the diameter of the circle being the absolute maximum of which economic value you can trade. That's the depth of the pool. So where am I going with that? If we have a look at price performance of Pulsechain, Pulsex, INC Hex, maybe you believe they're all bonded through liquidity, which is, I don't actually know how to explain that. If someone could explain that to me, it would be very nice. However, recently off the back of a tweet I saw on X, it explained in further how something like Pulse could be obtaining its price through liquidity pools. Now, primarily, it is, again, where is it? Through, generally speaking, through one theory, which I believe to be correct, however I'm watching it, you see the pools on wrapped Pulse, or Pulse, between, because I learned today that Pulsechain has no contract code. It's like Ethereum. Ethereum has no contract code. I was like, I could have sworn there was a contract code. Maybe wrong. Maybe that was over on Ethereum when I think I created a pool over there between Pulse and Ethereum when it was like, when Pulse was about near its all-time high. I can't remember. Now, the LP pools, if we are assuming that Pulsechain itself has 15 billion as market cap, I can't help but wonder, I'll take a step back, I can't help but wonder, where the fuck is it all? So we can see, and I was gonna go, oh, it's because it's all locked up on other platforms, or it's all in the validators. And I'm like, I went back and checked. I'm like, hang on, that's not actually the case. So there is about 175 million in validators, which is, not huge. There is less than that on liquid loans, and there's even less than that on the bridge and another platform, Fiat, and locked away in another platform. There's even less. Now, I can't help but wonder where did the Pulsechain go? Because everyone seems to be focused, concerned, looking at what a SAC address will or won't do, and they are trying to figure out how they can spend all the money now. I'm like, hang on. I thought there was no expectation from the work of others. I saw amazing moves. I think purchasing. I can't even remember the on-chain done. I don't think I saw it. I saw it bloody post on X, something about an address purchasing things within the Pulsechain ecosphere, primarily Pulsex, Pulse, INC, and Hex from memory. Now, again, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? What do you need more, price or LP? Now, we see here, for instance, 15 billion with a B in market liquidity, right? Now, Pulsex also has 6 billion, 6.8 billion. So imagine if, in theory, everyone paired their Pulsex with Pulse. That would be what, 26 billion, something, maybe, give or take. 6.8 times 2, or 7 times 2. So 7 times 2 is like 14. So maybe just round about 14 billion in depth of that particular LP. Now, as a former tweet did point out, that maybe though that's not a good indicator on what the price could do, because if you have pools which are, I guess, part of making the price of, say, for instance, Pulse, if you're looking at that, And part of those pools are stable between DAI, USDT, USDC, and Ethereum. Let's go and have a look what the depth is over there. How did I close that? Hang on. But for instance, so as we contemplate that, I guess we can have a look at the farms, which is what I wanted here. Smash the keyboard a bit. Sorry, keyboard. Now we can see here, don't worry about the APR, but if we're looking primarily at DAI, USDC, ETH, USDT, all right? Look at the LP here. There is not the remainder. There's about, I calculated about 12.3 billion, which is not accounted for. So basically what I'm saying here is, if, for instance, people took what they got for free, I guess through a sacrifice, for a political, movement, political belief, for the freedom of speech, for the freedom of movement, if one actually believed in that, then to make the world a better place, borderline almost, what's that word? Not charity, the other one. We just like trying to bring about a type 1, 2, or 3 civilization, sort of team humanity sort of stuff. I think, again, this is my opinion. If you actually, believed in that, maybe you'd want sort of a financial system, a tool in place to be able to achieve that. And maybe we are witnessing it through, dare I say, decentralized finance, but more specifically, Pulsechain ecosphere. Again, there's other ecospheres out there, other cryptocurrencies out there. We're all aware of them. However, we've seen how awful their fees are. We've seen how much cheaper we can get from sexes to something like this with large APR, with very thin liquidity, I would say. Because so if there's 12.3 billion, right? Okay, so everyone in Pulsechain, if you're listening to this or care, to pay attention. You have what, 12.3 billion, because we've counted the 290 total locked, right? So that's less 15, so roughly 12.3. Now I'm not sure if I'm missing something, why there's 12.3 billion dollars worth, which is a lot of Pulse. Like, where is it? What is it doing? I'm not saying it's controlled by anyone else. I'm saying as a whole, as an entire group of individuals who happen to hold Pulse, because I'm assuming people who sacrificed were the only ones who got Pulse, unless people bought it. There is a lot of Pulse sitting idle. Now, we can see that there's that amount locked up. There is about less 15 billion. So therefore, what could take place? Now, everyone's, again, I'm sort of going around the circle. Everyone's looking at sacrifice address and thinking, oh, there's like all this money there. Have a look. There's fucking 12.3, close to 12.9 billion of economic value in all of our hands. And just imagine, for instance, if we were looking at how LP pools were performing and how the price is currently performing. Again, this is a strange one because it's like, hang on, which one is pulling, which one is pushing? What am I trying to say? Why is price going down? Is it because people are removing large amounts of liquidity, which I can't actually see on chain? Or is it because people are performing large purchases and it's moving the bar, I guess, within that particular circle? I'm not so sure. But this is all I can do, again, without all the data points. I'm basically trying to have a stab in the dark. So here is my shots. $3 billion of economic energy is currently sitting, possibly idle, possibly, doing nothing. Anyway, we've seen a pullback in the last 7 days of around 12.2%. Now that's changed, it's gone down a little bit worse since I did this brief analysis. And so what I did, and anyone could do, there's probably even a better way of doing this. There's probably better data out there. But if you have a look here at the 7-day performance, I thought it doesn't account for impairment loss, yes. Liquidity performance also, as the price is decreasing, so too is the LP pool. So that's, again, part of the variables. But I basically, this is so simple. I added up the percent down movement, 1.91. I added up 2.38. I added up 1.49, and I added up 2.22. But then, as you saw on screen, it just changed. Basically, it came to about within 1% of the performance. So we can do it now if we want. I'll keep the calculator off screen, so as I look to whichever way I'm looking on the screen, it's because just doing some addition. So we've got, get this chord out of the way. 1.91 plus. Oh, it never does. So annoying how it does that. 2.38 0.49 plus 2. See, it's changed on me. You bastard. 7.79. And now, though, we're seeing a divergence as the price continues to decrease further. It's actually fallen out of what was sort of close within 1%. It's actually now down 12.2%. We'll do a refresh just to make sure. That's frustrating. I'm not going to add anything else to it. Basically, that's all I did. Now, there were multiples in place, which I can't recall off the top of my head. You could have a look at them in further depth, but what I was looking at basically was the LP performance over 7 days is decreasing by X amount. Price too is also decreasing by not the same amount, but maybe there's a link between those two. What those links were, I'm not particularly sure, like with certainty. But what I'm seeing, I guess, is a trend where if performance of the price is down, so too is the performance of the LP. Is the liquidity, TVL liquidity. I guess we call it liquidity over the 7 days. Now, from there, imagine though, we take a step back and we can analyze a couple different things. Now, one of the things is I was looking and trying to see, is there huge amounts of LP being injected or removed? Is it being removed, I guess? And is that causing the price to go down? So I did a quick, I think this is, I'm not sure how many days it goes back. I did all, I guess we could do removes. And there's not large amounts being removed now. Also too, there's not a large amounts being added for an LP that's about 42 milli deep. Now, we can do the same with USDC, adds removes. Again, people might understand this better than I, because I'm just sort of looking at this briefly, trying to understand what is going on. But I'm not seeing what I would imagine to be larger, removes or larger adds in LP. Now, if anything, there's been a few large LPs added to the system relative to the removals of the LP. Now, maybe it's working opposite the way you might think. It's quite possible, but again, we're seeing here removes relative to adds. Adds are kind of large USDT, not as large compared to DAI and USDC. Then we go over here to Ethereum. We can have a look at removes. Amounts are large compared to the other pools, and the adds not as large. Now, this is fascinating because if, for instance, you have performance of the token pulse which you're trying to calculate, and you're looking at primarily the stable pools. So if you pull that over here, if you're looking primarily at the stable pools, so DAI from Ethereum and Pulse, or wrapped Pulse technically, USDC from Ethereum and wrapped Pulse, wrapped Ethereum from Ethereum and wrapped Pulse, and USDT from Ethereum and wrapped Pulse, right? There's what? Let's have a look at the LP. There is 42, I think this will let me do 42 point. Is that right? Did I? $96. I'll do that again. I got about 96 million, right? That fucking can't be right. Hang on. Oh my. These numbers are fucking with me, I swear. I keep trying to put like a decimal. I'm like, decimal, I'm like, no, it's not decimal. They're fucking whole numbers there. Good. Thank fuck for that. I was going insane. That still doesn't look right, man. What the fuck? Right, let's just do this. $95, it is right. What the fuck? 96. That's just fucked with my mind. So if we've got, that's insane. That can't be right. Maybe I've answered my own question, which is kind of cool. Dude, that's some big ass numbers. Yeah, now that's only fucking. It's only 96 million. That's 96 million fucking. $747. That's far from the fucking 12.385 billion, right? Okay, so. Okay, I'm not going insane. But what I'm saying is, imagine if some of the Pulsechain, imagine if some of the Pulse X that's not, I guess, not locked up in these LP pools, that's not locked in these other platforms, validating, etc., etc. There are still multiple billions of economic energy which could be injected into the system. Now, how would they be injected into the system? Well, personally, I can imagine if I had some Pulse, like a large bag, which I thought was a large bag, whatever your price may be, whatever your amount may be, you could be basically trading your Pulse for something else to provide LP. Now, if you, I don't know how to word this, if you wanted, under some theories, for price to potentially go up, assuming the actions of someone else, because for every action there's equal and opposite reaction. Because if, for instance, you wanted to pump this thing to the moon, to beyond, to the deep depths of the galaxy, right? Assuming we understand which way is up or down from Earth. If, for instance, you wanted to do that, maybe you would swap some of your Pulse And this is a hard sell, right? Because you'd be like, why would you swap your pulse now if it's going to go up? But say you swapped it for a stable like DAI, right? And then you provided LP. I'm not sure if that's then increasing the price of Pulsechain, allowing it to increase or not. Because back to the calculations whereby, you know, if it increases by X amount, you get wrecked by impermanent loss. However, if, you know, price is a function of the LP pools, actually I'll pull up that tweet because that may assist. Or I'll pull up my particular notes I did have. This one here. So if we were to have a look at this, right? Again, guessing prices based on PulseX liquidity. So if price moves a square, take for instance the wrap pulse, the wrap stable has 22. If you double the DAI, the price goes up 4x. So you could potentially, and then it goes on to explain how, you know, arbitrage bots exist. I guess people selling it exist. And there's multiple pools that you can arbitrage across. And if, for instance, the price of DAI goes up, it doubles. So it has 22.3 million in it. So currently it has, okay, yeah. So there's even less, well, depending on how you look at it, there could be potentially less value. There's 21, half that point something. So if you were to add more to it, says if you double it, price goes up 4x, which is causing the action there. Because are you buying it? What if no one buys it, but then if just more LP goes in, you can still increase the price? So that's fascinating to look at, especially from my position where I'm still learning every day. I don't claim to know everything. Otherwise, if I did, I could figure out maybe a way to decrease or increase accordingly. Maybe data points to look at and analyze and see if this moves, then this might move, or if this moves, then that might happen, etc., etc., etc. I guess based on my understanding here, maybe some good positions to look at are if you're looking at LP ads, maybe just maybe you'd be looking at if there's large amounts being added in. You'd clearly be able to see that on here. You'd like, I don't know what you'd be looking at. The easiest way to look at it, you'd look at liquidity. You'd look at you know, the amounts. Personally, I have a spreadsheet. I'm keeping track of my LP positions and keeping track of you know, the total amount of liquidity, and then maybe over time I'll see some sort of trend, not so much to my LP holdings, but more to the price and how it's moving. You could get a whole lot more technical with it. You'd need to do it in like real time. I'm not even sure how you do it, because, you know, spreadsheets are very good for seeing what took place. However, forecasting in real time what is happening, maybe you can do it. I don't know. Maybe it will work up until a point where then there might be something else you're missing. Maybe it's an arbitrage bot between a couple of farms. Who knows? You might miss one little thing and it can make your data irrelevant. Like I was showing you before, my simple calculation changed pretty quick as the price is decreasing further. I had it basically at, I think, 11.1 something percent as a decrease over a 7-day period. And then we see now the price is now 12.1, and I added up the percent movement down over the 7-day period, which I'll do again just to prove a point. It's 2.29. Actually, it might have refreshed. This will be interesting. Plus 6.2. Yeah, okay, still 7.29 over a 7-day period. Decrease in liquidity. However, if you have a look there individually, I was simply adding them up. Wasn't even averaging. And so what I'm pointing out is, you go through how might it perform, bots, arbitrage, purchases, providing liquidity, removing liquidity even. And then you know if you trade between, say, Pulsechain, Hex, INC, maybe there's less slippage. So it is very interesting, to say the least. Like I said, it was great to be able to analyze that on the back of what I was seeing and thought in my mind how it worked. But, you know, maths is good. You can't really lie about maths. Now, so 12 billion, just imagine, round down to the billion. Imagine there's $12 billion worth of Pulse sitting somewhere. In your hands, in my hands, in other people's hands. Who knows who they are? What could happen if they took 1 billion of that Pulse? Hang on, let's have a look. So if we're looking at stable, ETH. And so that's 4, say there's 12 billion, right? And just think of all the different possible ways in which this could be done. A really simple way, very simple, would be like, 1 billion on each side, so 8 billion total, and then just chucking it in the fucking LP pool and making some fucking God knows how much increase in the price if we go back to this here, whereby a pair, you know, which has X amount in it, if you double it, price goes up 4x. So what would happen if you more than double it? There is some maths you could do, which I'm not going to do on stream. But you could imagine what sort of, if there's 42 million now in there, and you put a billion in there on either side, so 2 billion, what could happen, right? But then everyone, it's just funny, like, maybe I'm just missing something, or I'm not watching all the streams, I'm not keeping up with everything on social media. But this is just my independent personal view, that going back, just doing some real simple stuff, forgetting about whatever likes, anything like that, just some maths and some logic. This is my thoughts. What if, for instance, this took place? What if, for instance, you know, people used their Pulse to do this, to perform this action? Like, for what reason is it that no one is doing this? I guess I'm not sure. But yeah, that is about it. So hopefully that did help. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about it, because if everyone is focusing on what something, I'm not even sure if it's really, yeah, I guess it's the OA, because we go back to is it the OA or is it the SAC address? Like, are they the same entity? I mean, I'm pretty sure the OA is formed from the Hex contract. I think there was a white-ish type paper that was created explaining. Again, it could be, or through the actual code, it could be called the OA, I can't remember. But in what way is that even tied to a SAC address? I'm not so sure that it is. Again, could be correct there, but the focus on some address doing something with funds is humorous. If anyone's listening now, but it's kind of funny, comical even, because if you think about it, if everyone in the ecosphere, Pulsechain ecosphere, is potentially sitting on $12.38 billion worth of capital, and that's still being injected, and that everyone got that for free. Why it seems kind of greedy if people are then saying, no, I'm not injecting any of my capital into this LP system because I want something else, someone else, some people else, some alien to inject their capital first. And I'm like sitting back going, well, hang on. If there is, if the number one, if these figures are correct, which is total supply. Number two, if that value is correct, fully diluted valuation is correct, and same with PulseX, if those figures are correct, and if these figures are also correct, which is validators this, and this, and if they are all correct, I have to update my figures slightly. That would leave a remainder of about 12. We'll say a 12 even, which is actually like $12.3 billion worth of economic value. If that is the case, then potentially, just maybe people might think about how LP works for instance, across the stables and wrapped Ethereum, not even including potential, harvesting of gains from INC and maybe making some LP pools, maybe, and then taking the INC from that and making more LP pools, except that can go on for infinity, or they could then swap into. Anyway, they could then swap that into something like Pulsechain, for example. Then they could trade that, but then they could then purchase some. Is that how it works though? If you're purchasing or if you're bridging in, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Maybe it's the bridging in of stables, bridging in from USDC. You're bridging in from Ethereum, as opposed to actually creating more. So if my thesis, if my theory was that you put someone just drops in 8 billion, maybe they would have to use that first to purchase a 1 billion worth of DAI, and then bridge it in, and then pair it with 1 billion of existing Pulse, which potentially is just sitting there between God knows how many people. The same with USDC, the same with ETH, the same with USDT, and then over time, the slow injection of capital, we will then see that increase, because I guess as I'm saying it out loud, if you see the 1 billion trying to purchase 42 million, it's not going to go well, is it? And that's hence why you might, like I said, if you remember earlier on, I said remember that purchase. I think it was 100,000. It might have even been 1 million. It was a trade between LP pool of $1. Slippage just got wrecked. So yeah, so maybe that's the correct train of thought, train of logic. Again, it's hard because in that way it's sort of like saying, well, you should sell what you got for free to create LP across some pools, which you may suffer in permanent loss. But the same with Ethereum, although Ethereum is an interesting position because what it might do with its prices. But yeah, I guess it depends on how much and how INC does perform over time. But again, I don't think it's just basically pulling it right back. There is basically a fuck ton of Pulsechain in existence. not locked away. If, like I said, if the figures are correct, if the other numbers are correct, everything's correct, there's a lot of economic energy just sitting there waiting to be deployed. And who knows how it's going to be deployed. And this isn't the relevant to the SAC address or whatever, or like the OA or whatever. Like, I don't know how they're related at all. This is just purely my assumption on how how much pulse is in existence and where it is, because I can't see where it is, you know. And yeah, so what am I trying to say? If there was that much money, you would maybe be bridging it. You'd be purchasing stables to then bridge back, to then pair, to grow the liquidity, which would cause a reaction of price go up, which would most likely cause a reaction of arseholes selling, which would cause a reaction of impatient people who want to exit immediately and sell and thump on everyone's head. Which, you know, maybe I'm one of them, who knows? But you know, if that's the case, then why would someone go through all this work to do that, just to have the price wrecked and come back down, you know? It's kind of a hard proposition to say, okay, you take your pulse and you put your fucking pulse and then you sell it now at these real lows. It's like, hang on, what if this shit, you know, the talking point, what if it 10x's, 1000x, etc., etc.? Yeah, we get high fees, but everything will go up and it'll be Valhalla. But if, you know, if that's not the case, and this is just how the LPs is going to work, I wonder, you know, it could be a longer time frame. Like, it's not timing the market, it's timing the market. It could be a lot longer time frame for this process of price go up to play out. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be thinking about for a little bit now, because I'm thinking, like, if I had Pulse and I wanted to, you know, not suffer impermanent loss, but if I wanted to sort of figure out how to make price go up, not through just market buys, because market buys most likely will equal market sells as a counter to that, because there'll be arseholes out there that'll do it, as I've fucking watched from the beginning. Excuse my language. Again, not like raging at people because you have to sell to make money, but you know, if you're trying to figure out how to increase the LP across here to make price go up, it literally is chicken or the egg. It's like, so you've got all these poles which could go up in price, but the price is probably not going to go up until more is sold, or potentially sold, if that was the only source of capital. But I mean, 12.3 billion, that's a lot. What's happening, Teen Talk? Thank you. And so if I'm purely looking at just the Pulsechain, if there's about 12.3 billion worth of economic value, just chilling there, and it's the chicken or the egg. It's like, okay, so we're gonna wait for the price to go up, but how are we gonna get the price to go up if we're using that Pulsechain? It's like, oh, you have to sell it. So, yeah, the price is gonna go down, but then you're gonna bridge it in, and then price go up, and it's like, yeah. It would be frustrating if you're not holding that much of the, you know, that chunk of the 12.3 billion in excess. Hey, what's happening, Blue? Yeah, hopefully that didn't. That's just sort of some thoughts I'm running through in my mind. The sheer amount of excess Pulsechain that could be floating around. I don't know if you guys seen this. Basically, I went through, not sure if these numbers are correct, recapping the whole, like, however long I've been on for. Recapping, if these numbers are correct, fully diluted valuation on Pulsechain. So if that's correct, and if the total value locked up, if this is correct, I'm assuming this is, validators, this. So if that's correct, we still have about 12 point billion something of, you know, Pulsechain just sort of sitting. Like it spread across multiple, I would imagine spread across multiple holders. And my thoughts were, if we look at the workings of LP, and if you have a pair, and if you double the pair, you double the die, and the price goes up by 4x, then could it not be that people would potentially use some of that pulse but then it's a hard argument to sell for a stable to lock in, you know, at these low prices, but then the price could increase because it's a lot of pulse just sitting there idle. I actually don't know. Yeah, do you know? Because I might have did the maybe I can't remember something. Basically, I was disregarding the sacrifice address in terms of like the sack address. I guess there's like money in the sack address, but I don't think the sack address sacrificed for itself, if that makes sense. So I was thinking, okay. Oh, there you go. So I put it aside. I said, okay, yeah. So I just said, regardless of let's have a look. Okay, daughter addresses always sacked with hex for both. Okay, cool. Yeah, see, I put that aside. I was like, so for instance, if so that changed my data point slightly. If for instance the OA, whatever that is that's not related to the SAC address, in my mind in any way, shape or form, but if that, whatever that is, did sacrifice to obtain Pulsechain, then maybe that is the case where that then whatever that is holds a large amount of pulse potentially, which that would be a part of that, I guess, that 12.3 billion figure I'm talking about. So based on that, I've never seen, not that I'm aware, that ever move. Potentially I've never seen it sell any as well. So I'm not sure if that's like, if then the sacrifice address, like that's why I kept them separate, if in my mind. 1.6 billion. Let's have a look. Yeah, and when I go to CoinMarket, that's what I was doing in CoinMarketCap as well. So they must exclude those figures, I'm guessing. Let's have a look. But yeah, no, that's what I was saying. I was like, if these figures are correct, then that changes it again, which is interesting. Where did we go? Yeah, basically, those figures include the OA, which I forgot did, if it, I haven't seen on chain if it did sacrifice, which is, hang on, so wait. That's a mindfuck now. So if there's something called the OA that's sacrificed, then the sacrifice, what? That's insane then. That means the daughter addresses hold potentially, well, they sacrifice whatever they were potentially sacrificed to the SAC address, and then the SAC address then holds those funds, and the SAC address is then deploying So I guess then the question is, because I hear that the SAC address only had like a billy or something? Yeah, no, CMC. I was looking at it, like I don't think I put it on stream, but you look at like Ethereum, they do theirs perfectly. I'm like, why don't they do the same? Do you know what the actual? I haven't looked the rough figures. Yeah, oh damn, it's alright. Because I was like thinking, okay, so because someone said something about a billion buy, and then something about a billion to Ethereum price dip if it increases more. But if that's the case, then well, like there's still a fuck ton of there's still like I said, there's still about 12.3 billion of Pulse just sitting. Maybe a large portion of that then is held with Wales, or a large portion is held with the it's still with the SAC address though, which is interesting. Well, I don't know. There goes that idea. Was it? But that again, that's a data point that changes the it changes the calculation slightly, but it still doesn't change what it doesn't change. So forgetting about all that, if you look at just the pure numbers of the like locked up, if we assume this is right, and again, like you guys are saying, not including the I guess the question of how much is, but then it should be relevant. But it was incorrect of me to say that you know the take don't consider the well actually it wasn't incorrect. But if you have the OA and you have whatever it is sacrificing to the sacrifice address for the political movement, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, etc., then that would be in the SAC address. Those funds, a that amount of polls potentially. So that could be a lot of it where it's locked up. Then I guess that's everyone waits for the SAC address to do something. However, if that's not the case, then there's still about 12.3 billion of potential capital to be used. Now, if that is held by the sacrifice address, because I was thinking it was only a billion. Jesus. So if okay, so we do maybe 12.3 times 90%. That's still a lot. Yeah, maybe I just have to go and look. I was just looking like basically total supply and then total locked up. And then I was like, where's the rest of it? I mean, it's like if that's all with like the ASAC address, which I don't think it is, because like I guess you could look at where would you look? You could look at the what was the sacrifice list? Maybe you'd look there. Maybe you then check how much polls, who has what. But it still should total the same. And if that's the total, then it's like, well, then there's just a lot of economic energy, money, whatever you want to call it, in Pulse and Pulse X sitting. And I was thinking, well, if that ever gets deployed, and how will it get deployed? I'm guessing it might get turned. This is my thoughts, I guess. Then, based on that, updating my train of thought, based on the understanding that if LP pools affect price, then maybe just maybe, some of that pulse, I don't know if it would be used to sell, and then buy some either Ethereum, I guess, which people kind of saw. I saw on the social medias something about Ethereum. So maybe some Ethereum gets bridged over, dropped in, over time, I would say, into some of the pools, and maybe also. But then I only saw like on the social medias about like a billion or something worth of Ethereum being purchased by the SAC address. I thought that was like the whole everything. I didn't know there was more. Yeah, if we're 16 billion, we're like number 8. We are, well, based on coin market cap, we would be like here. We would be number 8. Oh, sorry. When we were at double where we're at now, we would have been. I think currently we're about 13. If we're 16 billion, like it was proper, we'd be just on the ship, give or take. And then if we get back to where we were a few days ago, a few weeks ago, um, and we were at like, was it 0.002 with double sat, then we would be at something like Doge with 30 billion. It wouldn't be a far throw to get to, like how many X's to overtake Solana and BNB, and then you've got the tethers, the Ethereums, and the Bitcoin. That wouldn't be a fast like for price to increase. But yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say, man. Like I don't think that's a wise move. Also, hey, what's happening, Bernard? Stack address forks, TC. Oh yeah. All funds are held by whomever controls the address. Very, very well put. I haven't seen that on chain, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm just thinking if we you guys are probably right about the whole OA sacking and ownership, whatever. But I was like, if we just have a look and we go, well, I know there's this much locked. I know there's this much in existence. It's like, where's the rest of it? I mean, we've all got some ourselves. I'm pretty sure, I feel like at some point, whoever it is, whether it's one of us even, that, decides to provide LP, I guess, or even remove LP, or sell or buy whatever, between the stables and Ethereum, based on my understanding of how it may help price go up. It's a lot of potential for economic energy to be deployed. Now, like I said, what I'm not so sure is, as I was going through the stream live, I was like, oh fuck, hang on. If they were to buy 1 billion, but there's not 1 billion up for sale through the pools, maybe they'd have to buy the DAI, USDC, ETH. What's that, the market belly? USDT as well, and then so maybe you'd see some bridging come through on chain, and then the pools would grow that way. Which I don't think would happen instantly. I think it's more if people wanted to do it, because I think, like Blue was saying, I don't think we can just rely on an address. It could be called Addy, I reckon. An address buying our bags. Like, what if that doesn't happen? Like, I personally didn't think that anything would be deployed at all. I know there was always like, oh, what if it does? What if it does? I was like, yeah, but what if it doesn't? Right? So I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm curious. What will happen next? Not like based on the understanding of LP. Also based on the price of Hex as well, because that's kind of a different beast that's its own right. So if that is the case, and Hex is the real Hex on Pulsechain, it's like, well, where's the LP? I guess we're looking at the LP for that. The LP, the primary one would be Hex and Pulse, which, if we, does that mean, based on that, if you want price to go up, someone would have to, but then that's excluded technically from the stables of Ethereum. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, then how does Hex go up if it's based primarily on LP pools? Interesting. Because then by that logic, if we're not looking at Hex, we're looking at how LP pools work across stables and wrapped Ethereum. It's basically what was I saying? if we're not looking at hex, we're just looking at the price of pulse. It would be basically for people to, if they want the price to go up, instead of, well, I mean, instead of creating like streams or like content on social media for hugs and affection, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's cool, but I guess logically you would go, well, if I want this to work, this ecosphere, I would then like inject LP and watch, then monitor the liquidity, and then monitor the price to see how it's performing. Maybe that's all we can do. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I went through, had a look. Not large amounts being injected between the pairs in terms of adds or removes, really. Like, same across with, USDC, not much adds. Well, 29k, that's decent. Not much removals relative. But yeah, so if current prices are the way they are now, 29k is just a drop relative to, although there's a few of them, 29k is just a drop compared to whatever's already in here, which is almost USDC. There's 15, close to 16 million. So you'd have to double that, so like match it with another 16 million, which would be 8 million USDC and 8 million pulse. Assumption is maybe someone's already holding that 8 million of pulse, and they'll have to then find the 8 million USDC from somewhere. It's like, well, what if everyone sold at the top? I guess this is in relation to hex. What if everyone sold at the top and then took that money out of the system and it's just in fiat now, or not fiat the platform, but what if it's what if it's not in crypto anymore? And so, for instance, this is my dig at something, although that it could be okay. What if and then again, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, what if people had that 104 million? It's not much, but then maybe that 104 million could have been used maybe to inject some of the, like, prop up the Pulse X. I don't know if that would have worked, because that sacrifice did take place near the highs, so people were just in that money. Let's go out of fashion. But I do wonder if the price where we are now is just purely a result of that's just what happened. People didn't want to wait. They didn't want to. Maybe they didn't understand how LP pools work. Because I gotta admit, I didn't understand how these things could relate. But it's, yeah. I mean, it could happen. It could be a matter of something does happen. Large holders of whoever, like Bernard said, whoever has the funds, decides to potentially deploy well, maybe not all at once, because everyone has their own little bag. But if everyone in synchronicity like decided, okay, we're gonna all inject into DAI, USDC, wrap ETH, USDT, over time, we're gonna inject money into these LP pools, and then we're going to say, get INC token to start off with. Then we can either use INC to buy more X Pulse or Pulse X, or then we can or we're gonna make more farms, like more INC Pulse farms or more INC Pulse X farms. Maybe if everyone did that, and then it would prop up this liquidity pools, potentially propping up the prices for everyone. But then again, the problem would be then again, every action has equal and opposite reaction. Something vaguely like that, and people might just dump on your head, in which you'd be worried. But if you're then providing LP, you're harvesting INC along the way. I don't really know. I don't know, like, beyond relying on Addy buying everyone's bags, which would be funny because some of it, was a sacrifice and then it's almost being gifted back to everyone, which is again kind of a little mini dig at the other platforms who sacrifice. It's like, well, I hope those funds get like gifted back to the, you know, I think they are. But who was to know, right? Well, I didn't take place in any of them, um, but yeah, that could be why prices just are what they are now. Lack of economic energy being deployed. And even that though, that's tiny. Like there's 100 million compared to like billions. Like I don't think 100 million would have done much really across these LP pools. I mean, yeah, it might have increased it by what? 2, 4, 6, 8, something. Maybe another 10 million here and there, but whether or not people would have, sold their sacrifice funds at such a low price, I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, basically, I'm swirling around in my own mind right now. It's like, do you really want to sell, your pulse for a low price, to for a stable, and then create a pool, create a farm with it, or inject new, sell it, inject new capital? It's like, but then you might miss out. You might suffer the impermanent loss, right? So the assumption for that move is that someone else is going to pump my bags for me. Flows of whale sideline capital. Retail isn't the playing. Oh, true, very true. Yeah, I've been on the retail side. I'm like doing little mini purchases of Hex on Pulsechain because it's cheaper, bridging in, and just gonna make these like try and make this insane ladder. That's like very low value. Just see how that goes, because by the time that's done, maybe it takes 12 more months. Maybe the price is double, triple, something by then. Who knows? Or maybe it's just some external addies come in and just pumped everyone's bags, and hopefully the opposite doesn't happen and everyone just dumps on everyone else, which seems to have happened previously. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Not negative on this on nothing, but just pointing out logic. It's like, if there's this much capital on the sideline, yes, it can be deployed. But going back, if it is under the majority of, like if a large portion of that is under an address which may or may not deploy, it's like you can't really rely on that, And if we all want price to go up, it appears, we would need to understand how people's work, and how to use PulseX, and create, the environment for which a price can thrive and have the deepest liquidity pools. But then it's hard to convince anyone how to use their capital. I'm pretty sure people back in the day, it was like, did you know if you pair Hex on the LP with USDC, it won't be as volatile? It's like there was still LP pools for fucking crap ETH and Hex, like way back when. So it was like, hey everyone, did you know if you pull all your shit off every other platform under the sun, and which I don't encourage. I'm just saying, like, imagine, this is just my thoughts, could be wrong. I'm very sort of stuck in my way in terms of Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, and INC. It's like, hey, did you know if you pull everything, chuck it all on PulseX and have the deepest liquidity, maybe price will go up, and maybe it'll stay up, or hover, and maybe go back and forth, and maybe harvest INC, and then you use your INC for whatever you want. Maybe you just buy the fuck out of Hex or something, Who knows? Oh man, there's so many plays that could happen. Like, it's like kind of like a football team. It's just, I don't know, Bluey might know, like footy, like AFL. It's like, if your team just like sucks constantly, but then one day they win, it's like, so still supporting them through the suck phase is interesting. It's like to try to determine who's like actual, I guess, true fan, something like that. But this is different. This is like I do not expect loyalty from everyone personally, but yeah, there's so many plays. If you have a look at it, like if there's maybe 12.3 billion on the sideline, maybe close to 12.4 billion, not including total things locked up on other platforms. Like, what could happen other than deployment of funds into various pools, which may affect the price of Pulse? You know, there's probably multiple other moves which could take place. Like the one I was just thinking then, well, it could take place and use its own system. Those funds could then use their own system to then get more ink, create more pools, and then have such a large amount, and then be able to use that ink. So you could possibly buy more hex and pool it, increase the size of that pool, and then double the price. So if that's right, then you'd be like looking at the figures and going, okay, 29 million. If we double 29 million, potentially, hang on, would you need to double the 29 million hex pulse, or would you need to double the pools across the stables and wrapped Ethereum for the price of pulse to increase forex? If the price of pulse increases forex, what will that do in relation to hex pulse, INC, and pulse X? Well, I reckon I'm going to find out over time, see how it all goes. Retail isn't deploying yet. I don't know, man. I don't understand the gatekeeping. I don't think the gatekeeping is going away ever. I mean, yeah, we've seen some larger influencers who things happened to them and then they came back and now they're like sort of dedicating small portions on it to X, Pulsechain, etc. But I don't know, guys. Where's the, CoinMarketCap still doesn't list properly. Like, why? Especially when I think one of them, so when Paprika still like copies CoinMarketCap to a degree, but then CoinGecko, like, it's like that's pretty big. That's a pretty big market cap. Like, dude, what the hell? Again, if you're new, shouldn't. I always forget. There could be people who aren't who aren't very familiar with this system more than I. As you can see in the chat, everyone knows more than me. But if you're new to this system, maybe have a look at the Pulse section and learn from there if you're familiar with Pancake Swap, or if his food farms that existed. Ink multipliers. Hang on. See the chat. I think pulling adjusted as time goes to how much you know. Like trader market. Ooh. Yeah, I remember I was that stream the other day, you guys. It's pretty good to listen to. The I don't know if it's like a halvening in 365 days, and then my initial thought was if that's the case and that's how it works, it'll most likely just halve and the price based on that logic will just double, and it might go more, I don't know, but it'll be like, oh, I'm getting less INC now and your farm tokens that you hold will be worth more. So the early people, so if you're like me and you just like dump forever, which may be a good move as well, but if you're just dumping forever and rotating between, I don't know, fiat, I hate to do it, but something, Ink's probably the dump token for me. But rotating between Pulse, between Pulse X, between Hex, depending on how you want to do it, it would suck for me, because then later on in a year's time or a year time from the INC files rolling out, if it does say decrease by 50% or the amount being issued decreases by 50%, my thoughts are, well, immediately it'll be double. Kind of like Bitcoin halvening. Could be more extreme though. Who knows? Especially if like going back to the LP pools, it's like, well, maybe the capital gets injected, the stables, wrapped Ethereum gets injected, everything increases. As everything increases, it pulls the market up. So we did see previously Ink at 10, also like double sack, Pulse X at sack, and Hex was, I actually can't remember the price of Hex. But yeah, it would not surprise me if, like, is Ink really going to outperform the fucking? Do we think Ink is actually going to outperform in terms of price Pulse X and Hex? I'm starting to think it might, like, which would be insane. Which would mean there should be, which would be, wouldn't that mean that if INC outperforms, like in terms of like price wise, I mean, I'm not sure about in terms of price wise, if that outperforms, and then it's like the whole incentive of the incentive token is just to get more of it. It's like, how do you get more of it? You get Pulse and stables and maybe Pulse and wrapped Ethereum, because that improves and you increase its liquidity. And then like the payout from the ink could be then used to purchase more of the impermanent loss, which is what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking, well, if I'm providing LP, and if, for instance, I'm could be suffering impermanent loss, which I don't, depending on what time you entered in and the movement up and down. If I'm getting INC and I'm hoarding it and dumping it, what am I dumping it for? Imagine if I dumped it for more of, say, Pulsechain. And then so if I'm suffering impermanent loss through a stable farm, I then get more of the Pulse and maybe accrue back the amount of Pulse. And then it's like, well, it's not too bad, yeah? then once the farm gets way out of range, you suffered huge amounts of losses, you could then potentially still have more ink, and then the ink would, you could have had the same amount, if not more, of the Pulse that you lost. And then you'd be sitting on all this stable, I guess, and then you'd wait for it to go fall back into range. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But by then, I'm assuming one is monitoring the liquidity because they understand that, well, does that post say the Forex? So if you go back to the calculator and you see that if my calculation was, say Pulsechain increases by 4x, I think, and the stable remains constant. Basically, you suffer 100% impermanent loss on the Pulse side. So therefore, for that to take place, you'd be watching, like, say for instance on DAI, you'd see liquidity at double that. So you'd see liquidity creeping up. So it's creeping up to like 60 million. You'd be like, okay, you've got to watch this now because I'm, starting to eat into it. It's like, but how long is that going to take? At this current pace, I'm not seeing it happen like instant overnight. So if people want it instant overnight, I think that would suck for LP providers, because they'll be like, they might get wrecked. Personally, I think it's going to be sort of like a slow, I'm trying to think of the word, slow churn, or slow sort of, like a real slow march. It's like a snowball building up speed, and it's just like, people are still trying to figure out like where the hill is. It's like gathering snow. Yeah. Oh man. That's right. This is like, as I'm speaking, like things could change, and it's just like, well, that was wrong. Like for instance, if we're looking at dude, I don't know if it'll be the new Hex, but I still think it could be like INC could then be it sounds stupid, but it's like, well then how would you deploy your ink? You just either sell it for fiat, make a new farm, and then you get more of it. And if it's performing so well, maybe like it might not be, people outside of people that might hate Hex skins or something, or hate Pulsechain, or hate Pulse X for whatever reason. I don't think they're going to be the ones going, I'm going to pump the fuck out of Hex. But people who have big, fat, juicy stakes, like long term, and like maybe once more retail realizes, like, oh, decent APR, new L1, first cycle, also this thing, I guess you could say, originated from Hex, and Hex like works pretty decent. Maybe the APR is not as juicy short term, but real long big payday stakes, they're still pretty good. Maybe there's some incentive there to pump that. And how would you pump that? And it goes all the way back to the, okay, stables, pulse, Ethereum pulse, stables, pulse, drives price up, monitor LP, farm INC, long term. It's like, it's interesting how, well, it's not that interesting, but there's like the yield calculator goes out to, what is it? Anything above 100%. If you have that, and if it maintains, and like you said, if it doesn't, if MasterChef doesn't decide to do anything, like that could be, you know, after one year, you're getting like more than, so potentially, like I said, you could buy more of the pulse if you're worried about impermanent loss. There's probably some other players out there, like people like with the different platforms. Maybe there's benefit to them. I'm not sure. Personally, I don't see it that much. I did notice, I think Fiat lets you long and short. I did play around with the just locking away a stable and getting more of it, so that's kind of cool. But again, similar to Hex, but bridge 5-5-5-5 low. Imagine if that becomes 369, that would be pretty funny. But yeah, what was I saying? Stable pools increase. Harvest INC, maybe INC is then used to either dump. Like the way I look at it, Fiat, Pulsex, Hex, not in no particular order. Maybe Fiat, especially if prices are mega low, or maybe create LP farms and then produce more INC, and then maybe make like multiple wallets. Then you have this like insane staking ladder over time of infinite INC. And then also on top of that, maybe the price of everything pumps, and maybe the price of Hex pumps. And then when the price of Hex ends, maybe people, instead of dumping it, you know, maybe they're encouraged again to stake it because of the low fees. But also maybe once that economic energy comes over, maybe not so much from Ethereum, but maybe, who knows, maybe there's big stakes over there. But maybe once the big Hex, you know, stakes on Pulsechain end, it then becomes liquid, and it's just like, where could we create some? How could we create some liquidity pools? It's like, maybe there's all these Hex sitting there. Maybe I stake some. Maybe I create some LP. Pair that with Pulse. Look at that. Maybe and again, this is separate because I'm not sure about this. If Hex pools are increased, for people ending stakes, for example, and pairing it with existing Pulse, maybe that increases the price. However, my understanding on that could be wrong because, again, back to the stables, Pulse, Ethereum Pulse, those pools primarily seem to be setting the price on Pulsechain. Again, Pulsechain, if Pulsechain goes up, is that enough by itself to lift up the price of Hex? I'm not sure if increased liquidity, what that would do. Like just in isolation, Hex and Pulsechain. Also, there's other pools out there. There's other exchanges, other dexes on Pulsechain. So those little liquidity pools exist. Not much you can do about that. Yeah. Gordon Ramsay's Traxy. The MasterChef, eh? Let's have a look. Yeah, well, yeah, agree. All great points. Like INC it's not immutable, I guess. I don't think. Like I thought it was, because I thought it was just locked in and it just like run. But then I guess it can't be, because like we saw with the early, when it got released, like different pools can be added. Different farms. Different farms can be added which offer a reward in INC token. And so I'm not sure if, like, you guys are saying potentially that so too could the what are called, the INC variables, the data, the payout rate, if that could be changed. Or I actually don't know. All I know is that I saw LP farms being added and removed, so that can be done. And if that can be done, then technically yes, the API, the INC payout would change slightly due to, I would assume, the total amount of INC issued. So if there was a new pool added, what I'm saying could be wrong. If a new pool was added, if a pool was removed or added, I think that would change the APR across all the pools because the rate would remain the same, I think. And I'm not so sure if maybe if the INC can be turned off and it's like, okay, no more INC for anyone. So maybe. And if that was the case, then we would be looking at, with a stable 17.56, 18.61, 13.73, 11.73. So yeah, isn't that good to know if that gets turned off? But yeah, I don't know. But yes, agree. Mutable. It's not, well. That can be changed. I haven't got confirmation that the rate of issuance can be changed. Otherwise, if it could be made worse, technically it could be made better if that was, if that's the case. But yeah, like with Hex is immutable, set in stone. And yeah. Yeah. Other probe is that ink could be more volatile. Yeah, good point. Yes, correct. Someone could pretty well, could they? Pretty sure they could. If there was large holders of ink, same thing with Hex, I guess, kind of. But you're right. There's locked away, so you can see when it's going to come out. Although I haven't found a good site for that just yet. I used to like Hex.vision for Ethereum side, but I'm not sure that copied over. Maybe there's probably another one. But yeah, could happen too. Like it could just get people who have that much of it, they just all dump instead of creating like an ink. Although you can create farms, I think you can create farms. I'm not sure people would do that though. Like you can create your own farm. You can just create like ink and buy. Like I don't know if you guys did it on testnet. Like it's like impossible to find. I'm like, fuck, where's this farm? We had to look it up, and then maybe people would create a stable pool or some sort that pays out some percent APR. I'm not even sure how it would calculate. I'm not sure if they exist. Do they exist? Search. Search. Search through here. See all the, how there's like V2 as well, V2 side. Oh, really? Ooh, okay. I think I was looking at that the other day and it got sort of hung. It was an update since. V2. Oh, okay, so you can create a pool, but you can't. Yeah, so you can't farm INC, but you can create a pool and get fees. I think is that. You can't create a farm. Okay, so V2 probably. Tokens. See. Yeah, but people are, I guess there's no incentive to do it. It's like, let's create a Hex Inc. farm and 66 cents. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think people be doing that. Yeah. in the meantime, I might wrap this one up pretty soon. I think we covered a lot. It's good. Um, yes, that's my thoughts on what I don't think. And on the, I don't know if you guys saw the whole something about DEX and putting it on a centralized exchange sex. I want. I don't care too much about it. Like, I don't know. It'd be great for an onboard to be like, go in for Pulsechain and Hex, go in and just buy it in their wallet and then send it. But I think usually it costs money and there's fees, and it's like, who's paying for that? Especially after the brutal bear market everyone's been through, it's very hard to someone put their hand up and be like, oh, I'm going to pay for all this, and even people to like try and get together and like do it for the for a positive thing, which would be to have it listed. It's like there's probably like there could be daily fees. Who knows? It could be monthly, weekly, yearly. I like the way, personally, I think it's accessible through the bridges to go through like I keep saying with the other ones, and with the cheap fees on those, although you have to buy that, but it destroys Ethereum. Yeah. I mean, if like say someone like Coinbase just goes, all right, we're listing Pulse. Like if Coinbase had like like this is what Hex is, like the courses, and this is what Pulsechain is, and this is what PulseX is. I mean that would be pretty cool. Like they give out free money for people to learn about it. I mean that would reach huge amounts of people. But for it to be listed on some just obscure exchange that maybe people use, maybe they don't, the assumption there is everyone uses the centralized exchange. It's like, well, my assumption was just everyone uses Coinbase. Like, well, not everyone does, So I don't know how that will play out. If I had to vote, I would be like, I don't really care, to be honest. But I mean, if people did it, yeah, that's cool. But then, like, wouldn't they just use that money to then buy some Pulse or make a farm for themselves? And then if they made, keep saying it a million times, if they made a farm, if they made a stable farm, they injected fresh stable in. Although that is a conundrum. If you have to inject Ethereum stable, you might have to be a larger player to not care about the Ethereum fees, to inject more stable in for that pool to grow, if that makes sense. I'm not so sure, like I said, going back to this point, I'm not so sure you can go through and just like if I had 42 million, I'm pretty sure I couldn't, well, there would be 21 million of Ethereum. If I tried to buy all the Ethereum, and create my own pool, I don't think I could come in with 21 million of Pulsechain, buy up all the Ethereum, and then create a pool with that Ethereum, and then that would create it. That would make it. That would double it. If you know what I mean. I'm not sure if that would work. I don't think it would work, because otherwise it would be like doubling. I think you'd have to actually bridge in 21 million of and then maybe have the Pulse in existence and pair it up with that, and then you would see the liquidity jump to 84. I think that's how it might work. That's, as I was saying through the examples, like if you had 12 billion to deploy, I guess eyes would be on the bridge seeing that, then the eyes would be on liquidity, then the eyes would be on what else? Those ones, stables, wrapped Ethereum, and then you'd probably see the flow-on effect of price go up based on mathematics set. And again, not so sure if you could do that purely through Hex. So if a Hex stake ends, pair it with Pulse on Pulsechain in the farm. It's like, well, what if Pulse goes up and he's, I'll have more Hex? Huh? But if Hex goes up and he's, I'll have more Pulse. Huh? I can't see that being an overly bad thing, especially if you're not going to be using Hex for its like purpose of creating more Hex. So you could miss out there if some like insane thing happens where the the mythical number of $1 hex, in which most likely take place on Pulsechain now for Pulsechain hex, because that's the hex. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Alright guys. I think that's about it. But I think we have to make you mod on this channel, man, because not sure if you are already. And Mark Valley. I do have a rule, and it was like whoever found it, but then it was like, maybe I just make it. Break it. I saw Bernard here too. Oh, I lost it in the chat. Sorry, I'll go back through. Alright, while I do that, yeah, that's what I think is going to play out, personally. I don't know how, but I just know there's a lot of capital there. If market participants want to make the price go up, which it would make sense for it to happen, then I think those are the metrics we watch. Again, all because of this particular tweet, it made more sense to myself. So therefore, I think Bridge, watch Stables, watch Ethereum, and watch price go up or down based on liquidity pairing and liquidity pools. Now, just make. I put Blue in timeout, eh? No, wait, I just. But then no one else comes in here, so you probably don't have to mod anyone. Hey, Finbear, what's happening? I'm breaking the rules. I had a rule in place whereby I had a set time frame in which anyone who was in the chat, I would have made mod if I recognized them. But then yeah, but then I think I went back through, and it was the funniest thing. I think I found, like, I was going through them, I recognized all these names. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna add these as mods because, like, just because barely anyone. Yeah, anyway. And so I went back through, and it was a funny thing. I clicked on what was it? Just this random stream for one reason, like for no reason. I'm just going back through checking my shit, and I saw like the name Dollar Cost come up. I'm like, dude, when did he go in my chat? And I missed it completely, so I had to go. I got to add him as mod. It's the same thing with you, Blue. I can't not add you as mod. And then I have to just double check that because I can't tell. Sometimes you can't tell if it's like legit account or not. Now I did see Bernard. Hang on, I can pull it back from. No, why can't I see that? See on Restream, I can see the whole chat. I have to go back. Alright, I do Machiavelli as well. Eventually, what's gonna happen though? The whole chat's just gonna be all mod. Anyone new coming, just ban. Hang on. Hang on. So we'll hide Machiavelli. Alright, that's done. And why can't I get to Bernard? What the hell? I'll have to go back. Alright, I'll do that later. Alright, I think that is. I think that's everything. So, what else? What else? Yeah, I could repeat the same shit again, but I think you guys understand. You guys probably already know this as well, and have been watching the same thing. I've had similar thoughts, but I was like, I have to talk about that. I can't ignore, although people probably already done this, but like 15 billion market cap, if that's the fully diluted valuation, like how is no one's gonna look at this? And then also the 6.8 like billion, like also could be instantly paired and have like, imagine just seeing what was it, 6.8. Imagine seeing like just a liquidity pool of like 13.6 billion. It's like if you're a whale, you want to like purchase Pulse, maybe go through here, you wouldn't suffer much slippage at all. But I don't think that's what would play out. Like I said, I think if people want the price to go up, they'll add more liquidity, etc., etc., etc. That's my thoughts on how it will probably how it could play out. Because if it doesn't play out, then we'd see, I guess, the opposite of that, which would be people pulling liquidity, and then we'd see, excuse me, not sure if APR would increase, but we'd see people pulling liquidity, and price would go down. Not sure again if Hex and Pulse by itself, if you created more liquidity on that, if that would be enough for everything to go up, or if that would create, if the primary focus would be to increase Pulse through liquidity providing. And then also you've got like the INC token, which is just like a fucking unicorn, which again, I'm not sure if that can, if the rate at which can be distributed can be changed through MasterChef's potential admin prowess, or if because we know that farms can be added or removed, if that would be enough to incentivize or disincentivize the market participants to eat at that particular restaurant. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure someone will find out eventually. What else? Yeah, and then centralized exchange. Meh, meh. If someone does it, meh. But like, what? Why not just buy some more of the shit? And then, if people, if people want Pulsechain, I think they could figure out how to get it. Like, it's not that hard for people who, like, understand a little bit about crypto, who understand like other dexes. They could probably get it for cheaper. Yeah. That's my thoughts on that. I think I got the mod sorted, and then what else? Yeah, price. All-time lows is still up. How low do we think we can go? I reckon, I just don't have a gut feeling. I think we're going to bounce off SAC for some reason. Off the Pulsechain SAC, that is. To me, I wouldn't be fine with it. I mean, prefer mad gains like now instantly, but it's like, well, I wouldn't care if we just move sideways from like from SAC to 2 SAC. It's like, because only because, mind you, caveat there, only because of the APR through INC providing. If that was to be removed and it was back down to say 20% for say a DAI stable pool, you'd be like, well, people would go to where money treats them best, and then you may see people exit the chain to go to other, maybe you would, I don't know. I personally wouldn't, but I'd just be looking around going, well, that's not the best. And like the next question I have is, it's a hard question. It's when a stake comes out, like for Hex on Pulsechain, my conundrum in my own mind is, do I yeah, that's right. It's like organic and shit, it's like it's the best type of restaurant. It's like fresh from farm to table. It's like, the next question I have about Hex is, if a stake ends that comes out, like, what am I doing with it? Because I know on Ethereum now, it's just like, it may not, but it may, like, if it's not worth it, it's literally burnt. So therefore, the burn, like, it's actually on-chain burnt, gone. I was like, well, don't have to do much with that. Just leave it. It's burnt, already gone. And then, so the next thing is like, well, what do I do on the Pulsechain side? Because like, I'm chasing, like, I want to maintain T shares personally. I like to think, that there's if Pulsechain is still this cheap to transact in 15 or 13, 14 years, 11 years time, staking on Hex, mining on Hex is still pretty decent if you ask me. Especially like I said, with these little tiny ones, I create these little ones, and then like in a few years, I'm gonna be like, thank fuck I did that. That's what I'm imagining. It's never played out negative for me, except mind you, except at the all-time high, but that was slightly different due to the sacrifice. Do you know it wasn't? What was it? I can't remember if sacrifice was open for that, or there was talk of sacrifice. But that's the only time it really kind of wrecked me. Well, you know, the all-time highs as it's dropping. 45. Yeah, see, that's like that's not that bad. I mean, as long as you're 45-day stake on ETH. So as long as you're not, as long as you've got that ETH to start off with, and you don't mind that, and if it's a lot, I don't know. There could be some growth over that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna pump, but the community could make it pump harder. But it is apparent that it's cheaper on Pulsechain, so it makes sense to explain to everyone why it's cheaper and how it's better on Pulsechain. But then I guess if you got large bags over there, you don't want to see it die. It's just like I said, that comes back to the LP providing over there. It's like, are people going to do that when they could be engaging with LP farming over on Pulsechain and then getting INC and all the perks, I guess you could potentially call them, and the cheap fees, and then you could be part of the thing that makes the price go up, which could then make the hex on, you know, on Pulsechain worth more than what, you know what I mean? That's my take on it. But like I said, because I'm a smaller player, everything that takes place is like, I could imagine different people's perceptions, perspectives. So like if you're a huge whale and you've just been wrecked by Ethereum hex just dying on you, and you've experienced a huge loss, it's equivalent to someone who's smaller, who experienced mad gains, who then saw the, like on paper, and then saw the huge loss up until recently. And then it's like, well, they're basically at the position where like they're still okay if they got in early, but you know, it's not like affecting their psyche as much as maybe someone who's saw huge gains on both, like on it, on Ethereum that is, and then they had to double their bags even though it was a bit lower. But then because the amounts were larger to start off with on both chains, even at the lower amounts, you know, it's like they then experienced like another huge mass loss. So that would mess with someone's psyche, I would imagine. Like compared to someone who's like put in $10 or something, and then just like, why not where's my Lambo? It's like, well, they kind of have a different psyche. Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I can't tell no one to do anything, man. Like, also, I could be wrong, so why would I? So that's why, you know, have to be careful. Because what if like everything we thought, and we all had this like group thinking about something that's going to happen, and then nothing doesn't happen? We'd be like, fuck, what did we do? Like, I don't know. It's quite imagine like that's I think that's a real risk. Like if everyone gets this group think mentality, herd mentality, and they all like, then something wrong is said, and everyone thinks that that wrong thing is the correct pathway forward. It's almost like herding cats, especially if you have, I guess, if everyone's sort of focusing on a leadership figure who may not be as present as, who maybe is present as Satoshi, and Satoshi's anonymous, and no one knows who Satoshi is. So it's like, how is that fucking leadership? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's probably a good way of putting it. I guess a good guiding star. What would be a good guiding star? Good guiding star would be the things we like. How do we make it go up? And not wreck everyone, you know, because you could be an ass about it and just be like savage people and just wreck people through trading or whatever. Not maliciously, but you know, you could be like a full-on like savage trader and just play whale games. The assumption is that's going to take place anyway. So yeah, but over long term, I like to think that we all have this sort of. Well, I like to think everyone wants the price of Pulsechain to go up over time, and Hex, and Pulsex, and INC, and but also for it to be sustainable, like long term, like infinite money printing. But for that to take place, I don't think. I think you can still take mad gains. I think for that to take place, it would be more of a like a slow sort of scraping, just like slight little slices here and there. That's what I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I think if everything just pumped like 1000x, would see like a then correction of negative 1001, and then everyone would cry like, "Why didn't I get my?" And it's like because someone just did. That's what I think would most likely happen, as opposed to the long term mindset where they sort of have like a. I don't know. I was thinking like when I did see some larger gains in Hex, why didn't I set money aside to make a business? And I thought, well, what would be a better business than creating some LP farms? Although impermanent loss exists, but I was like, man, that'd be really good because I'm looking at them like these little LP farms I've got set up. They're like little businesses. They just keep ticking over, when you sleep, and yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So please, Master Chef, don't tinker with the shit too much. I think it's pretty good at the moment. I think it's pretty good. And instead of like people, trying to make it better or whatever, or trying to get improvements here and there, I think what a good place to begin at would be to. This is my thoughts, to have multiple farms. Maybe not have your whole stack in one farm. I don't know if you've got multiple addresses, multiple addresses, and you've got like little farms everywhere. They're all just doing their thing. So then it's like you're going through, and if you want, you can take some profit from here. Whereas if you've got it all in one big fat stack, and you've got some big ass like not tax bill due, but like this huge number, you're like, fuck, what do I do with this now? Yeah, I just want a little bit. I just want a little bit, but I gotta press harvest and fucking take the whole shit. God damn. That's what I'm thinking anyway. I mean, that's not a bad problem to have at all, but in terms of very long term mindset, I think that's probably worth thinking about, having like little farms. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. I think there's just predators out there, and then just people trying to stir shit within, especially with social media. It's very easy. Like, I heard of, not in the Hexagon community, Pulsechain community, or nothing, in different communities out there, right? There'll be people and they'll be race baiting each other. And the way they would race bait each other is, like, have multiple burner accounts, social media accounts, I think. Now, YouTube, I'm not like teaching people how to do it. I'm just saying people would basically like would say one comment like, "Oh, I'm X," and then it counter to that they'll have this. It'd be like the same from the same computer, saying like some awful comment, and then someone like backing up that awful comment, and then someone arguing with those two people, and then people were going back through, and they're like, "This is the fucking same person," and they're just starting shit for the sake of it. Like it'd just be how to infight. It'd be like, "Oh, if I just want to troll all my mods, I'd like come on here with a burner account and just start ripping into all of you, and then just watch and laugh." and then do that with like multiple accounts and shit, and then you just have this unpleasant environment for the mods to exist in. Um, and that wouldn't surprise me if that's taking place. Like if people are that weak, they can't deal with that or think about that, then it's very unfortunate. So I hope people don't take anything to heart that they hear or see on social media, because like the internet can kind of suck, people. I think I've heard that before on a Richard Hart stream. Yeah, and I was thinking about the multiple farms thing, like if you also not the like you're right with the hedge, and just I guess to add to that, my personal thought is like if you're also not putting it all in at the same time, so as the positions are moving, you could then well, as it moves up and down, that's also good. But say it's like you put it in at the all-time high, you're probably still waiting for it to hit back to the all-time high to get your positions right. But if you waited and just saw a range which you might think is, suitable for steady growth or like, range trading, I guess I don't know what you call it. But then, you put it in at the just under sack and then at sack and then over sack. And then imagine if it just like dips between those three. All three of them are okay. But then if it starts like I said, you're watching that LP and you start seeing large numbers come in and it starts like, million, you're like, oh shit. But then if you put another one in, while you're earning the INC as well, depending on what you're doing with that, but if you put another one in, it's like a kind of like a little mini hedge, because as it's growing, then it might pull back. But then if it does keep growing out of your comfortable, like whatever you feel comfortable with, at least you're not sort of getting, not liquidated, kind of liquidated, all at once. Yes, because it's like a full on thing. I'm doing it every day now. I'm like, I want to go in and just make a spreadsheet. Like I said, liquidity, price, and the amount of tokens, the amount of pony pictures that is relative to that LP position. I'm seeing it, I'm monitoring it. And then the question is, it's like, do you want to, if you end up in a position where you've got more than you started off with, maybe that's good, but it depends on price. And I'm watching and going, shit, some of this okay, because some of it is just, I think the Pulsechain and Wrapped Pulse farms are not too bad. INC is not the greatest, but some of it's because it's trading so much, you're ending up with more. I'm like, it's kind of cool. And then the question is like, it's a good question to have. It's like, should I sell? Not should I sell? Should I remove the LP, which would potentially, decrease the price, as we remember from the was it the hex days on Ethereum, and it's like, oh my god, people are removing the LP, and it just like dumped down real hard. It's like maybe that was the function of LP. But yeah, then you can remove it, then you got more of the stuff, and then it's like, well, what do you do with it now? So it's just idle capital. Maybe people exit, I don't know. Maybe go to a different farm, I don't know. Maybe you just fucking leave. Just get the INC and fucking scrape, and then I don't know. I'm still deciding, and like I'm gonna not document my shit. I've got this like flowchart. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, I can do that. Can do that. Can do that. Did that work? How's it working? And I've got the spreadsheet tracking my progress. And I got all the fucking tax software keeping track of everything, which is painful because half the time I'm like leaving it for like 24 hours before just to make sure it's not missed anything. Like on the how was it called? Block Explorers. And yeah, then you never know what else is coming. Some regulator somewhere could just say some shit and just be like, oh fuck, now what? Yeah. No shit. It's like when you're getting angry at the internet, you need to get off the internet. Yeah. Dude. Fuck. Yeah, it's like I don't know, like a different world. Like the people, yeah. I need all my million billion followers. It's like, yeah, how many of them will actually help you if shit hits the fan? How many of them can you call up and be like, hey, little help? I don't think many, man. I mean, mate, it's different. Like this community is different. It's like actually there's meetups and stuff, which eventually, once I get in a better position to do so, maybe I'll start doing, or maybe I'll hold my own meetup or something if I can think of something cool. But currently, like I said, I'm looking forward to build these little fucking ladders, man. Like, work's been a little bit better. Touch wood. Like I said, I don't. It now is interesting with these lower prices. It's not sorting out people, not sorting anyone out. Like, I think it's gonna highlight, not so much people that took profits early on through whatever happened, but people that I guess now in a position, for whatever reason, who are like, so, like 100% like retired and 100% like using their crypto for like daily spending. It's like these lower prices in the bear market would have really affected their holdings, and it would still be doing so. So if someone, like, say for instance, is just dumping hex constantly on either chain, and they're using that to live, which is fine. It's like, well, now with the lower prices, if they're still doing that, maybe they're not going to have the same lifestyle. Maybe it's going to be a lot harder. For myself, I actually didn't get the luxury of doing that. I think I took about, was it? I think it was 20k Australian. So it was even less. Um, I'm like, nah, man, when this fucking shit's going to like higher, I like staked it in at the all-time high. Some stakes came out, and I was like, fuck. I look back now, because you got that I did. Oh, I just work gig economy shit. Before that though, this is when Hex was all-time high. I was at a fucking bank, investment bank, a branch of one of the fucking large four banks, or four and one. It's like an investment bank in like in a lot of shit. I was doing a lot, and yeah, it was okay because I've got a degree. I've got an Australian degree in accounting, right? And I did it as a mature student, so I it was weird because after I did okay. I got like a distinction, maybe a high credit. It wasn't quite a high distinction, but it's like, do I go into the accounting like graduate and fucking work your way up and shit? But that's pretty harsh, I've heard. And also it'd be weird because I was old, and so I basically worked in I think I started off in some mortgages, like a call center. And then there was then I did some, it was like ad hoc shit with the investment bank through contracts, and then back to call center through a different construction loans section. So I learned a little bit about mortgages and how they function. And then I got kind of not poached, but like went back to the investment bank through this like a platform. And basically I learned a lot of shit. It was like equities. It was like kind of in super, but it was also like investment. And then there was a change from that. So I was like, at that time, funnily enough, so during that time, what was that? I don't know if you guys remember BitConnect. So during that time, so that's when I was doing crypto as well. So I'd studied, and as I was studying, I came near the finish end of the degree, and then toward the end, I discovered crypto because I was trading in stocks. They got me wrecked, although I was investing in them when I was young. I was mucking around with CFDs like forex, gold. Also got me wrecked, but I learned a lot. Then I discovered crypto, I reckon 2017, and the first one I ever bought was Litecoin because I was like, oh, it's silver, it's like faster Bitcoin. And so 2017, where was I? I think I'd already finished my degree and I was working, and so I had like excess money to like basically invest. And so crypto was one of them. Follow all these fucking. Sorry, I've gone on like a fucking life story here, but bored. So, and also thank you for asking. And so I had excess money, kind of, work and stuff, because I was doing alright. Like every year you got like a increase and all this shit, bonuses and shit. It was alright. But so then crypto, and then I got wrecked. No, I was doing okay. I was like buying Litecoin, I was doing fuck all. And I was discovering all these other cryptos. Like I remember, was it Neo or some shit? And I was watching it. I remember that was the first time I did okay, and I can't even like find half these wallets are all lost. I remember I bought like 10 Neo at like $100, and it went up to 1,000. I was like watching this fucking thing. I'm like, do I sell this shit? What the fuck do I do? And like I didn't sell it. It's a dumbass as I am. And then it went right back down. And and then I was buying Litecoin, and I was like, this is boring as I'm just watching it. Yeah, that one. I think I found fucking like old. I went back and looked, and I'm like, the fuck is this shit? I can't even fucking remember. And then what is it? I was like, like I was holding Litecoin. I'm like, this is doing fuck all. And I was even, I think I was mining it through cloud mining the Bitcoin through that oh, what was it? Dude, I don't remember. It was like a cloud mining thing, and then that was like doing kind of okay, but it was just like very small amounts. So I wasn't investing enough. Not investment. It just wasn't doing anything. And I was like holding these Litecoins. Like, this is doing fuck all. It's like moving up, like down a bit. Yeah. I wasn't doing leverage trading. I was just buying the tokens, trying to figure it all out. Then I missed out on. There's a whole other like I discovered crypto and shit, but um, basically, what's it called? Then yeah, and then basically I was working, studying while doing this shit, while watching all this other shit on the world go up. Like I had this old channel and I'd watch I'd be watching heaps of that like Infowars content, all this other shit, and I'll be like just making streams, like making videos about like things I think are happening in the world. And then like I discovered crypto as well on YouTube, and I was like sort of like half in between here and there. I'm like watching, I'm like, oh, this crypto shit's alright. I think I was watching some of the like the BitConnect guys, and I'm like, oh, I'll try this BitConnect stuff. Sort of like, and I was like watching it, and then like the fucking what's it called? Oh, that was doing okay, and that was around the time where I got this new job, and I was like sitting back thinking, ah, oh, I fucking made it. I'm gonna like retire off this crypto thing because I remember the daily. I can't remember how it worked. It was like this amount just kept growing, and it was getting to like thousands and shit. Oh, this is fucking sick. This is gonna change the world. It's gonna be so good for everyone. And then it was a scam. God, they just wrecked me. And then plus all these other scams I got wrecked on, like these tumblers and all this other shit. And so then basically, I'm like still working. I'm like, oh, fucking thinking about to quit. So I got this another role in the same company, but like a different position. It was just fucked. It was so wrecked. I had to go through so much shit, and I ended up like coming through, and then like I had to not fix everything, but probably like end of year stuff. Basically, it was just wrecked, and then I had to come through and learn everything and just like fixed everything. And it was like fucking, it was all sweet and like what the fuck. I used to work with all sorts of shit. Yeah, yeah, cool, catch you, man. And then yeah, catch you, man. And then what else? Yeah, and then the whole the COVID thing. And then during the COVID thing, the funny thing with Hex was the massive pump. Yeah. And then I was like, well, it's either jab or no job, or crypto. I'm like, well, crypto's doing alright. Crypto will be fine. Fucking, and now it's like, yeah, the jab, it may not have been whatever. But years and years later, and then I was like, oh, I'll do some other gig economy in the meantime. And then some stuff happened with that. I had to get. It's like a whole other story over there. Um, yeah, and so basically, now I'm still just doing gig economy work and just getting like very minimal income, but I'm not using that, like I'm not dumping crypto to like fund a lifestyle. Is what I'm saying through the whole time. Although I wish I could. It would have been nice to take a big chunk and then just been like, so much better. So now I'm stuck here with you. Now I'm just like waiting, going, okay, this farming is looking pretty good. Getting some little amounts of money, which is nice, and still doing the gig economy stuff, which is fine because I refuse to. I not refuse. I had job offers for other investment firms like recently, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm back to 9 to 5. It was just killing me. It's just too many hours, too much work. Pay was good, but like, it's just wrecked. I was doing all sorts of shit. It was just fucked. Oh, although it did give you like a sense of doing stuff, but other person like the freedom now, just to cruise around, do whatever, deliver food. Like, how hard is that? Do all the taxes for that, keep track of everything, and just freedom. And then come back, check in with you guys, check my farms, check how crypto's going, try and push back where I can through fucking responses to governments about whatever crypto shit they reckon. But no, this is how it is. I think we should all do that. And so I'm doing that, and like I said, I'm gonna make little what's it called? Little stakes on Hex, on Pulsechain, through some earnings. I'll document it, and hopefully it turns out good. You know, hopefully like, oh, that was real good how I did that. But yeah, that was a long answer for a very. What do you do for a job? I'm an independent contractor, and I work for the gig economy. But yeah, bloody the whole COVID thing, very frustrating. I might wrap up. Just in European Union bans anonymous crypto payments over 3,000 using self-custody wallets. This is. That's wrecked. What do you mean the banning? What do you mean using what do you mean self-custody? Anonymous crypto payments. See, the thing about that is, right, what they're gonna KYC just normal wallets now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if you're in the EU and you're doing something, and they're like, okay, we don't know who owns this address, although you could have engaged with a centralized exchange before, and you have like KYC there, and they know that that's you. But then they're saying, oh, but we don't know who this is, so we're gonna ban. How are they gonna ban? Like, blacklist your wallet? That's good. Oh. Okay, not breaking news, but you know, Pulsechain Beacon website is currently syncing and is not up to date. Patient, meantime, check your validator logs. And see, this is what puts me off of running validators as well. It's constant upkeep. I'll wrap up very soon. Yeah, I want to go into more what I did for work, but I don't really want it recorded. I'm live on fucking. Yeah. I'll just have a quick check. Having a job is the first question from a judge to maintain. Oh, think of that. Having a job is the first question from a judge to maintain jurisdiction. Where do you work? No, also, in kind of on topic on that, I remember so not long after I stopped working at the previous investment bank, I got, what did I get? What happened? I got like a refund. I got some like there was like, my bank accounts looked weird. Like, there was no steady income. And so the question was like, what do you do for a living? Because we might have to cancel your account. I think some of it in there was like some refund, there was some other stuff. I was like, this is fucking so weird. Like, why would the bank do this? And then it had the, you know, it had like the, I'm like, what I can do occasionally, I work for gig economy stuff. And so they said, that's fine. Okay, cool. So it would have been interesting if I wasn't doing anything else. What this system might have looked at. Like, it might have been like, oh, if it was just like all crypto income, like, oh, what the fuck's this, you know? And then we see things like the EU banning like quote unquote anonymous payments, is that like total throughout the year or total ever? Or what would they like a certain? How can they? What if they categorize DeFi in a certain way? You know? Very strange. Yes, many things on the mind. I think I'll wrap it up. Unless you guys got any questions or anything, but you probably already know the answer. Interesting. Yeah, that stuff. It's like you look at the guy. I can't remember who he was. He was like teaching you how to. It's like, do you want to be a multi-citizen person? You know, it might be worth doing. He has like a whole like thing about it, and I think from memory, it's like a was it foreign tax residency reporting or something like that? Common reporting standard, and it's like most people they don't even realize that they've already been pinned down to their like country through various means, like whether that be a job or whether that being like are you a resident of XYZ country, and that therefore that's your like primary one, and that's your like jurisdiction. So maybe that's could be like I do agree with that, and that's like across the world basically. You have to actively go out now, um, and yeah, actively go out. And I can't remember how you do it. Like it's all legal, but you just have to like if you want to be, you know, say you want to go to Puerto Rico or some shit, you have to actually figure out how to do it legally, lawfully. But yeah, all right. On that note, I'll wrap this one up. And again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the engagement, and hopefully my ramblings helped some people. But yeah, there's just some things I've been looking at. Some data points I would like to think I'm monitoring. Um, maybe how I think things will play out. Just in shock and awe about the sheer amount of money that's just like sitting there idle. That's not locked up in various platforms. And I think this little dip we're sort of looking at now, it's just fuck all. It's like probably going to bounce from here. It might go deeper, it might go higher, who knows? But that's what happens when you try and predict the future. You got two options: up or down. Nothing remains the same. That's how timeline works. All right, free speech. Signing out.